Welcome to the next session on process management in operating systems. In this session, we will be seeing process synchronization. How process synchronization is achieved in operating system. What is the operating system does with respect to achieving process synchronization. So under this session, we will be seeing all these particular concepts. So what is the need for process synchronizations? In operating system, in any computer system, the operating system can permit execution of process concurrently. So process can execute concurrently. Any process may be interrupted at any time when it is partially completed. When there is concurrent execution of process, they will be accessing to shared data. There may be the possibility of one process accessing the data of another process without that process completing the entire execution. So in between, if a process is trying to access the data which is shared by another process, it may lead to data inconsistency. So to avoid this, there must be some ways of achieving process synchronization. So maintaining data consistency requires various mechanisms to ensure the orderly execution of cooperating process. For example, suppose that we want to provide a solution to the consumer producer problem that fills all the buffers. We can do so by having a counter that keeps track of number of full buffers. Initially, counter is set to 0. It is incremented by the producer after it produces a new buffer, and it is decremented by the consumer after it consumes a new buffer. So like this, we have to provide solution to the various process synchronization problems. So in this slide, we are seeing what is the need for process synchronization. Now taking the example of producer consumer problem. So in this problem, it is that producer will be producing items, the consumer will be consuming the items. What is the need here to achieve process synchronization? Suppose if the producer is going to produce beyond the capacity or beyond the need of the consumer, then the extra items cannot be consumed by the consumer. Similarly, from the consumer side, if the producer is not producing item but the consumer is trying to access the item, then that leads to error. So there should be some method of synchronization between the producer process and the consumer process. We will see how it is achieved here. Now from the producer side, assume while of true means the producer is ready to produce an item. Now we are introducing a solution called counter here. Counter. While counter equal to buffer size. Assume some buffer size. For example, buffer size is 5. So maximum 5 buffers can be permitted for producing an item by the producer. Now we are maintaining a variable called counter. This counter is going to be compared with the buffer size. Whenever counter equal to buffer size, you cannot produce further. That is mentioned here as do nothing. So buffer of in equal to next produced. Every time one item is added up to the buffer size is incremented. The counter is incremented as well as the buffer size is compared every time. If the condition counter equal to buffer size is false, then only you can produce item. Otherwise, you cannot produce item. You have to remain silent or you have to do nothing. Suppose the counter size does not reach the buffer size, then you can produce the item which is mentioned here as next with the variable next produced. Now this next produced is stored in the buffer, and after storing it, the buffer size is automatically calculated in every item that is produced using the formula in equal to in plus 1 modulo buffer size. In plus 1 modulo buffer size. Now when every item is produced, the counter is incremented. So every time In the while loop, the comparison takes place to check whether the counters is reached the buffer size. If it is reached, no further item can be produced. If not, you can store new items. Now from the consumer side, how process synchronization is going to be achieved. From the consumer side, again, while of true means there are some items, so now it is ready to consume. So it is checking counter equal to 0. Suppose it is also using the same variable counter which is acting here as a shared variable. If the counter is equal to 0 means there is no item in the buffer, you cannot consume anything. So that is mentioned here as do nothing. Suppose the counter has some valid value apart from 0, then what is the process? So it is accessing the buffer for taking the item. That is stored here as next consumed. So to mention produced you are using in, to mention consumed you are using buffer of out. So every time once the item is consumed by the next consumed variable from the consumer side, again here also the buffer size is calculated using the formula out equal to out plus 1 modulo buffer size. So this is the same formula as used in the producer side, but the variable in is used there for taking into the buffer. Here out is used for sending out the buffer. Now every time here the counter is decremented, because every time one item is consumed from the consumer side, the buffer should be decremented. So here the counter is decremented, whereas in the case of producer it is incremented. Okay, so this is how using the shared variable counter, the producer and the consumer problem is solved by providing the proper process synchronization. Suppose take an example to, so I have a chocolates set of some 5 chocolates. Okay, so there are 2 persons, so person A and person B. So A is having 5 set of chocolates. Assume A is the producer here. So he is having a bag. A is having in A and B is going to commonly share a bag. Okay, this bag you name it as C. Now A is the producer here, B is the consumer here, C is the bag here, and this bag it is empty further initially. Okay, what A is doing is producing some chocolates. For example, some 5 chocolates he is putting, but before producing, what he is intended to do, he is checking whether there is empty space inside the bag to produce new chocolates. So he is checking the buffer size here. Here buffer is nothing but the space inside the bag. So there will be definitely some capacity of the bag to hold so many number of chocolates. It cannot be an infinite thing. So you are taking that as a buffer size, for example 5. Now initially the producer is checking the bag, it is empty. So he is knowing the size from checking the bag has buffer size equal to 5. So he is ready to produce 5 number of chocolates into the bag. So what he is doing, he is taking a variable counter, and once he produces a new items and puts in the bag, the counter is incremented. And every time after producing a new item, before producing a new item and putting into the bag, he is checking the counter size and the buffer size. So the counter should not be equal to buffer. If it reached equal to buffer, that means there is no further space in the bag to hold any more chocolates. So this is done from the producer side. Now coming to the consumer side, the consumer, if you want to consume some item, definitely there should be some item in the bag. Without any items, the consumer cannot use that item. So what he is initially checking, whether it is empty or it is having some items using the variable counter. If the counter is equal to 0, which means there is no item in the bag, you cannot take the chocolates from the bag. Okay, the next condition, the counter is not equal to 0, that means the counter has some value count, for example 5. Now on seeing the counter variable's value, the consumer comes to know that there are some items or there are some chocolates in the bag, so I can consume that. What he is trying to do, he is going to access the bag. Every time he takes one chocolate, the counter will be decremented in this case from the consumer side. So every time once a chocolate is taken out, the buffer size is compared with the counter variable. So the counter variable should, when it becomes equal to 0, that means there is no further chocolate to be taken, that is taken care of by the consumer side. So using this counter variable and the buffer size, the producer and consumer are synchronized with each other, that so that the producer will not produce items beyond the capacity of the buffer, the consumer will not consume the item, so so that the buffer is not going to be empty. So in this way, the producer and consumer synchronization is achieved. Now, there is another concept relevant to this process synchronization called as race condition. So take this example, counter plus plus, it is implemented in producer side. So register 1 equal to counter, register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1, counter equal to register 1. Just they are using 3 assignment statements to show how counter plus plus is implemented in producer side. So I am taking a variable register 1. With this, the counter is initialized to register 1. Then register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1, which means I am putting the value of counter inside the register 1. Then I am incrementing the register 1, which means my counter variable is also incremented. Then I am assigning the register 1's value to counter, which means my counter value is incremented every time. Okay. Similarly, counter decrementation is implemented in the consumer side using register 2 equal to counter, register 2 equal to register 2 minus 1, and counter equal to register 2. Using registers, they are showing how the variable incrementation and decrementation of counter takes place in the producer and the consumer side. Now take an example to show what is race condition. I am taking the variable count equal to 5 initially. Okay, S not. Producer executes the statement register 1 equal to counter. So what happens at this point? Now register 1 will contain the value 5 because counter is initialized to 5 in the previous step. Now again S1 equal to step 0 is given there. Producer executes the statement register 1 equal to counter, which means at this point register 1 will contain the value 5. Come to step 2. Producer executes register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1, which means the value of register 1 is incremented by 1. Now it is becoming 6 and it is stored in register 1. At the same time, assume consumer is executing the statement register 2 equal to counter. Register 2 equal to counter. Now register 2 is also assigned with the value of counter, which is, what is the value of counter here? 5. So 5 is assigned to register 2. Next step, consumer is again executing the statement register 2 equal to register 2 minus 1, which means the value of counter, which is 5 minus 1, 4. Now register 2 will contain 4, register 1 will contain 6. Producer executes the statement counter equal to register 1. Now counter will be 6. Consumer executes the statement counter equal to register 2. Now counter equal to 4. The same counter variable, but value differs from the producer side, value differs from the consumer side. So this is we call as a condition called as race condition. Okay, the values are conflicting here from the producer side and from the consumer side. There must be some way of avoiding this condition, that is the race condition, so that process synchronization is achieved properly. Now we will see critical section problem. Now we are going to provide a solution to this race condition using a technique or concept called as critical section problem. Let us see what is done in critical section problem. Assume there are n number of processes named as P0 to Pn minus 1. Totally n process given name as 0 to n minus 1. Each process has a critical section segment of code. So assume every process is going to have code segment which is called as a critical section. In this critical section, what are the things will be available in the critical section? Process may change, maybe changing common variables, updating table, writing files. These kind of data will be put in the critical section by every process. When one process is in critical section, no other process will be allowed to execute in the critical section. So we are going to solve this race around condition using this critical section problem. Like how we are going, every process is going to put some data into the critical section. What are this data? Is some common variables used, tables, files, writing operations. All this will be put in the critical section. Now the second rule is that when one process is currently executed in the critical section, no other process will be permitted to execute in the critical section in that particular system of processes. Okay, how this is taking place? Let us see. Each process must ask permission to enter the critical section in entry section. Every process first will be asking a permission that I need to execute the critical section by using the entry section. Then if it is given permission, it will be executing the critical section. Then it will execute the exit section. Okay, after the exit section, whatever remaining code that is available for that particular process can be kept in the remainder section. Using this concept, the critical section problem provides a solution to the race condition. So this is what the critical section means. Some process, it is being executed. So every process is allowed to have a critical section, where in critical section the sharing variables, common variables alone will be put there. So like how every process should ask the operating system that it need to enter the critical section. So when through the entry section, after it is given permission, it will execute the statements of the critical section. After this, after executing all the statements of the critical section, during this particular process, the other process will not be allowed to enter the critical section. Next, exit section will be executed. So that means the particular process which already executed the critical section has come out of the critical section. Then the remainder of the section will contain the remaining code to be executed by that process. So during any process is executing the critical section, no other process will be allowed to enter the critical section. It has to, when it is out of the critical section, that is when the process is in exit section, the other process will go and ask the permission for entering the critical section. Whichever is gaining permission can execute the critical section in the next cycle. So an algorithm has been proposed for showing this. Do while turn equal to j critical section, turn equal to j remainder section while of true. So here they are implementing this with variable called turn. So turn equal to j means it is compared with j. So it is true means this process will be allowed to enter the critical section. Then it will exit out of the critical section and whatever remainder code is available for process PI will be executed. Now to achieve this critical section problem, these are the following solutions they are providing. So mutual exclusion, progress, bounded waiting. What is mutual exclusion? If process PI is executing in its critical section, then no other process can be executing in their critical sections. This is the first, which is called as mutual exclusion. That means at any point of time only one process will be allowed to be executed in the critical section. No other process will be permitted to execute in the critical section. Second one, progress. If no process is executing in its critical section and there exists some process that wish to enter their critical section, then the selection of the process that will enter the critical section next cannot be postponed infinitely. The meaning is, if no other process is executing in the critical section and many other processes are requesting to enter the critical section, who is going to be entering the critical section should be selected without delay. Without delay. It cannot be postponed indefinitely, means you cannot keep on making the process waiting who are ready to or who are willing to enter the critical section. Any one process should be selected for execution if the critical section is not being executed by any other process. That is what progress means. Third one, bounded waiting. A bound must exist on the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter their critical section after a process has made a request to enter its critical section and before that request is granted. The meaning is, there may be many processes requesting to enter the critical section. For example, if one process is allowed to enter the critical section, the remaining process who are willing or who requested the critical section entry already cannot wait infinitely. There should be some time bound or time limit in the other process who requested to enter the critical section should be there. The other process who requested the access to critical section cannot be made to wait indefinitely. There should be some time bound in their waiting. Okay. To achieve this, your critical section handling can be done by operating system using two approaches depending on preemptive and non-preemptive. So what is preemptive? Allows preemption of process when running in kernel mode. So before that, there are two modes of any process execution. One is kernel mode, the other one is user mode. So the user mode process can be controlled by the operating system. Whenever a process is executing in the kernel mode, this is out of control of the user. The user can control as well as the OS will be controlling the user process, whereas when any process is executing in the kernel mode, it is out of the control of the kernel, out of the control of the user. It is only under the control of the OS. So preemptive means it allows suspending of the process when it is running in the kernel mode. Non-preemptive means it cannot be preempted. It runs fully or completed fully when it is executed in the kernel mode. Once it is completed, then only it will release the CPU. This is non-preemptive. That meaning is, whenever a process is running in the kernel mode, there will not be any race conditions, because any process which is executed in kernel mode will be completely over. Then only the remaining process can access that process as it is executing in the kernel mode. So when it is executed in kernel mode, the meaning is we can consider as there will not be any race conditions here. So you have a solution to achieve this called as Peterson solution. It is a two-process solution. What is the solution given by this? So assume that load and store machine language instructions are automatic. It cannot be interrupted. So your load instruction or store instruction is automatic. You cannot modify those instructions. Similarly, assume another example, int turn and boolean flag of 2. The variable turn indicates whose turn is to enter the critical section. Flag is used to indicate if a process is ready to enter the critical section. Flag of I equal to true implies that process PI is ready. So turn will indicate whose turn is the next one to enter the critical section. Flag will indicate which process is ready to enter the critical section. So your algorithm using Peterson solution, flag of I equal to true means the process I is ready to enter the critical section. turn equal to j, means process j is allowed to enter the critical section now, while flag of j ampersand turn equal to j, means flag of j, now the process j is ready to enter the critical section, and the turn also given to process j means it is allowed to enter the critical section. Once it is over, then flag of j equal to false means now it is out of the critical section. The remainder section should be executed. The control will be taken away from the process j. That is your exit section. This is your solution. Whether this Peterson solution satisfies the three critical section rules, we'll check here. First one, mutual exclusion is preserved or not. What is mutual exclusion? At any point of time there will be only one process to be executed in the critical section. So if pi enters the critical section only if flag of j is false or turn equal to j, or in the sense if any one condition is false, the meaning is it cannot enter the critical section. When both conditions are true only, process I will be allowed to enter the critical section. Next, progress requirement is satisfied or not. Progress requirement means when there are multiple process requesting, there should not be some process should be selected. In our case, there are only two processes, I and j. Either I will be selected or j will be selected. So progress requirement is also satisfied. The third one, bounded waiting requirement. Either I will be executed or j will be executed. So if I is executed, j will not be waiting for infinite time, or if it is j is executed, I will not be waiting for infinite time. So obviously the third bounded waiting requirement is also satisfied. Next we can achieve using synchronization hardware. How to achieve that, we'll see here. Many other systems use hardware support for achieving the synchronization. The previous solution we saw with coding. Now we will see the synchronization achievement using the hardware support. So how? Using the idea of locking hardware. So how it is achieved? Protecting the critical sections via locks in the sense no physical lock, it is a hardware lock used to protect the critical section. How? We'll see. In uniprocessor system, you could achieve this using disabling interrupts when particular process is executed in the critical section. The meaning is when the interrupts are disabled by the hardware, that means no interrupt will be arised when a particular process is executing in the critical section, so that the process can execute without any preemption. It is achieved in uniprocessor system, but it is difficult to achieve in multiprocessor system using this concept of locks. Some hardware instructions are used in modern systems which are atomic instructions. That means they are not interruptible. These instructions are not interruptible. For example, load and store. So using locks, how your critical section is implemented. Do acquire lock, critical section, release lock, reminder section. So acquire lock means from the hardware side, lock is provided by disabling the interrupt. Then the process will enter the critical section, it will complete its critical section, it will release the lock, means the interrupts are enabled further by the hardware. Means the process can further execute the remaining code in the reminder section. So when it is executed in the critical section, no interrupts will be disturbing in between the process, so that it will execute without any preemption. So how? Some example is given using the test and set instruction for hardware. support. So these two instructions, they are working as atomic instructions. So assume test and set instruction, boolean rv equal to star target, star target equal to return rv, means some variable is assigned with critical section using the target set to true. So it is executed automatically, returns the original value of past parameter, set the new value of past parameter to true. So here you are defining a function called boolean set and test. Boolean is nothing but using the true or false, you are implementing this test and set instruction. Okay, so you are sending a variable called as target. So boolean rv equal to target, you are assigning to a variable rv whatever you are passing from the function call. Star target equal to true, means you are modifying the value of the target. If it is passed as true, you are again assigning it as true if you are inside the function. If it is passed as false, you are changing it to true inside the function. Return rv means the new value of target is returned. New value of target is returned. Okay. Shared boolean variable lock is initialized to false. The solution for test and set we'll see here. While test and set ampersand lock do nothing. If lock is given, do nothing. Critical section. If lock is acquired, the meaning is lock is acquired, you do nothing. You cannot enter the critical section. If lock is released or lock is false, then it means it is outside of the critical section. Whichever process is outside of the critical section, so it will execute the remainder code and synchronization is achieved. Similarly, the next set of instruction is compare and swap instruction. So here also they are executed automatically. It returns the original values of the past parameter value. Set the value of the value parameter to either true or false, then that is returned. Okay. So whatever value you are passing, it is compared and it is swapped to the new value and it is returned back. So they are executed automatically. Here also the same, ampersand lock is used, 0 and 1 is used. So lock is 0 means it is false, lock is 1 means it is true. It can enter the critical section. Whichever process is executing this compare and swap instruction, it is acquiring the lock using lock equal to 1, releasing the lock using lock equal to 0. So we are just checking whether test and set instruction satisfies the mutual exclusion. At any one point of time, only one process will be executing the critical section. There will be waiting time bounded here. Okay. Next, so using locks we saw. Next we have a concept called as mutex locks. The previous solutions has some disadvantages. So what they are providing called as mutex locks. They are built using some software tools to solve critical section problem. One such tool is mutex lock. So how it is doing? Protect a critical section by first acquire a lock and then release the lock. Boolean variable indicating if lock is available or not. Okay, this mutex lock concept uses acquire and lock strategy, whereas Boolean variable is used to check whether lock is free or not. Okay, the function calls to acquire and release are automatic. They are implemented via hardware instruction. So this mutex lock can otherwise be called as pin lock because while it is implemented, the process will be spending waiting. So they are busily waiting to check whether it gets the next chance or not. So it is called as busy waiting, and this lock we call as spin locks. So using acquire and release, the mutex locks is shown here. Okay. Next concept for achieving solution to critical section problem is semaphore. It is one of the synchronization tools that is more sophisticated than mutex lock. So semaphore is we are taking as an integer variable. So it is executing two instructions called as wait and signal. Originally it is named as P and V. So wait of S means while S less than or equal to 0, busy wait. So here S is taken as an integer variable. While S value is less than or equal to 0, the meaning is S has to wait. Every time S value will be decremented. Similarly, that is signal operation. Wait is over. Now we'll see signal. Signal of S means S plus plus. So it is ready to be executed in the critical section. So it is implemented using the variable S. So you have two types of semaphore: counting semaphore, binary semaphore. Counting semaphore means integer value can range over an unrestricted domain. There is no restriction on the value of the integer of S. Binary semaphore means it can have only two values, 0 and 1. It is same as your mutex lock. So it can solve various synchronization problems, this semaphore. So assume two processes P1 and P2 that require S1 to happen before S2. So create a semaphore SYNH, initialized it to 0. Who is doing this? Process P1. S1, signal of synchronization, means P1 is ready to execute. P2, when P1 is executed, P2 has to wait. So P2 is using S2. So wait of synchronization, S2 has to wait. How it is implemented? At the same time, no two processes can execute the wait as well as the signal on the same semaphore at the same time. Thus the implementation becomes the critical section problem, where the wait and signal code are placed in the critical section. Here also busy waiting can happen. So to avoid this busy waiting, additionally two operations are employed here. One is block and wake up. Place the process invoking the operation on the appropriate waiting queue. Whichever process is invoking the semaphore, it will be placed in the waiting queue. Wake up. When one of the processes completed executing the semaphore, the process who is waiting will be waked up. They will be put in the ready queue. The implementation of semaphore is given here for wait and signal. Okay. So here wait of semaphore star S. So wait is assigned, S is assigned some value. This value is every time incremented. When S value is less than 0, that means S has to wait. Signal. So the same semaphore S is invoked here. Value will be incremented. When the value is less than or equal to 0, a process will be removed from the particular list of waiting process. Wake up. Who is waked up? Whoever is waiting in the list will be waked up. Deadlock and starvation. There are two conditions that will occur by this process. So deadlock, two or more processes are waiting indefinitely for an event that can be caused by only one of the waiting process. Deadlock means when two or more processes are waiting for one event to occur. Let S and Q be two semaphores initialized to 1, P0 and P1. So when P0 is executing, weight of S, P1 is executing, weight of Q. P0 is executing, weight of Q, P1 is executing, weight of S. That means P0 has already executed weight of Q. Now P1 is trying to access Q. Similarly, P0 is executing signal of S, signal of Q. P1 is executing signal of Q, signal of S. Here, the wait and signal are mutually waiting for P0 and P1. Here there is an indefinite blocking called as starvation. So this starvation can be avoided by priority inversion. Scheduling problem when lower priority process holds a lock needed by higher priority process. When a lower priority process holds a lock which is required by higher priority process, the lock will be released from lower priority process and it will be given to the higher priority process. This is what we call as priority inversion to avoid indefinite blocking. Some of the problems of synchronization are listed out here. We'll see one by one. That is bounded buffer problem, readers and writers problem, dining philosophers problem. Bounded buffer problem. There are n buffers, each can hold one item. Okay. Semaphore mutex is initialized to value 1. Semaphore full is initialized to value 0. Semaphore empty is initialized to the value n. Now we'll see the structure of the producer process. Weight of empty, weight of mutex. So producer will produce an item. It will execute the weight of empty and weight of mutex. It will add the item produced to the buffer using signal of mutex and signal of full. Consumer process, it will execute weight of full and weight of mutex. It removes an item from the next consumed. It will use the signal of mutex and signal of empty once an item is consumed from the buffer. Next, readers writers problem. Here a data set is shared among a number of concurrent processes. Readers are only read the data set, they do not perform any write or updates. Writers can perform both read and write operation. What is the problem here is allow multiple readers to read at the same time. Only one single writer can access the shared data at the same time. When multiple readers are trying to read the data, when there is a single writer to write the data which is shared, the reader cannot perform the proper read operation. So here some shared data is kept in the data set. Semaphore read write mutex is initialized to 1. Semaphore mutex is initialized to 1. Read count is initialized to 0. First, weight of RW underscore mutex is executed. Now writing operation is performed. Only writing is performed. Signal of read RW underscore mutex. So after completing the write operation, it is allowed to both read and write. So the reader process structure is shown here. Weight of mutex, read underscore count plus plus. If read underscore count equal to 1, then weight of RW underscore mutex, signal of mutex. Reading is performed. After reading is over, again weight of mutex, read count minus 1 minus is executed. Read count equal to 0. That means it can be allowed to perform write operation. So RW underscore mutex is signaled and signal of mutex is signaled. Some of the variations on reader-writer problem. First variation, no reader kept waiting unless writer has permission to use the shared object. Second variation, once writer is ready, performs the write as soon as possible. Both may have starvation leading to some more variation. Problem is solved on some systems by kernel providing reader-writer locks. Next, dining philosopher problem. It is a famous problem. There are many philosophers spend their lives thinking and eating. They don't interact with neighbors. They try to pick up two chopsticks one at a time to eat from bowl. Need both to eat, then release both when done. Suppose there are 5 philosophers as shown in the diagram. They are sharing what data? Bowl of rice data set, and they are taking it as semaphore. Chopstick is taken here as semaphore of 5, initialized to 1. There are 5 chopsticks here, 5 philosophers here, one set of rice. At any one point of time, one philosopher requests 2 chopsticks to complete the eat operation. They have to acquire both, complete eating, then they will release both chopsticks. So there is a problem of synchronization when all 5 willing to eat at the same time. Weight of chopstick of I. So the structure for a philosopher I, we are giving here like this as the solution. Weight of chopstick of I. Weight of chopstick of I plus 1 modulo 5. You are using this formula to calculate the count of the chopstick. Eat. Then signal of chopstick of I. Signal of chopstick of I plus 1 modulo 5. So if a philosopher I wants to eat, he has to execute this wait and signal semaphores to pick the chopstick as well as to both left and right chopstick to take it. He is executing 2 wait operations, and after releasing is executing 2 signal operations. What is the problem here? Allow at most 4 philosophers to be sitting simultaneously at the table. How to handle? We are allowing only 4 philosophers to sit. Allow a philosopher to pick up the forks only if both are available. Second way is, I will allow a philosopher to take the chopsticks only when both left and right are available. If only one is available, he is not allowed to take the chopstick. Use an asymmetric solution. What is that? An odd number philosopher picks up first the left chopstick and then the right chopstick. Even number philosopher picks up first the right chopstick and then the left chopstick. These kind of solutions can be provided to avoid deadlocks. That is, at the same time, more than 2 philosophers waiting for the chopsticks. That can be avoided using these 3 solutions. What are the problems of semaphore? Signal of mutex, weight of mutex, weight of mutex, weight of mutex. That is incorrect use of semaphore operation. In the place of weight, if you use signal, then it will lead to error. In the place of signal, if you use weight, it will lead to error. So what are the other problems? Is deadlock and starvation is possible, which we already saw in the previous slide. Next, monitors. This is another solution provided for critical section problems. Here they are using variables to access the code. So means only one process can be active within the monitor at a time. Like critical section, monitor, in this concept of monitor, only one process will be active within the monitor at a time. Like critical section, only one process can be executing your monitor at the point of time. So in monitors, all the internal variables accessible by the code will be kept. In syntaxes, you have to give monitor space monitor name. Shared variables should be given within the monitor. So here some shared data, your operations and initialization code are given. So whichever process trying to access the shared data has to acquire the monitor, and those who are willing to enter the monitor will be kept in the queue. Once the operations are over, the monitor can be given to the other process who is waiting in the queue. So using condition variables with signal and wait operations are used here. X dot wait, a process that invokes the operation is suspended until X dot signal. Whichever process executing wait will be suspended until it is executing signal operation again. Similarly, X dot signal resumes one of the process which has executed this signal operation until it is invoking X dot wait. If no X dot wait on the variable, then there is no effect of wait operation on that variable. Now using the condition wait and signal variables, the diagram of monitor is shown here. If process P invokes X dot signal and process Q is suspended in X dot wait, what happens? So here X is used by P as well as X is used by Q. Both Q and P cannot execute in parallel. If Q is resumed, then P must wait. So what are the possible solutions for this? Signal and wait. P waits until Q either leaves the monitor or it waits for another condition. Signal and continue. Q waits until P either leaves the monitor or it waits for another condition. So both this will have some advantages and disadvantages. So using monitors, solution for dining philosopher problem is given here. The monitor name we are taking as dining philosopher. It is having these attributes: thinking, hungry, eating. The states are like this. So there are 5 philosophers and 5 chopsticks. Void pickup of int of I. When the state of a philosopher is equal to hungry, you have to check it whether he is in hungry state. If he is not eating, then he will be made to wait. He will be made to wait. The meaning is, first the state of the philosopher I is checked. If he is in hungry state, then he has to eat. For eating he need the chopstick, so he have to pick up this chopstick. So for that he is making others to wait. So the others will be waiting until he releases the chopstick. That is given here as self of I dot wait. Next. So void pickup function is used here if the state of the philosopher I is hungry. Test of I. Test of I means now he is ready to perform eating operation by taking the chopstick. Once the state is not equal to eating, once he completed eating, he will execute wait operation. Then put down. State of I is thinking. If a particular philosopher is in the state of thinking, then he have to test the left and right neighbors. If now test of I means he is checking whether the state is eating or the hungry. Eating state means both chopsticks has to be picked up. Thinking state means chopstick has to be put down. The initial code for this is I value is initialized to 0. State of I is set to thinking initially. Each philosopher I invokes the pick up and put down operation in the following sequence. Dining philosophers dot pick up of I, eat. Dining philosophers dot put down of I. So because of the solution, the deadlock and starvation will be avoided. So your monitors can also be implemented using the semaphores. Okay. using conditional. So the previous one using semaphores mutex, it is using conditional variable, condition variables. So monitor implementation is shown here, x dot signal and x dot wait. X underscore count greater than 0 means count should be incremented and it will be signaling the process to enter the monitor. Then other process will be kept waiting, count will be decremented. Resuming process within a monitor, if several process queued on condition x, next dot signal should be executed, which should be resumed.